Listen closely, and I mean really lean in with every single fiber of your sovereign soul. Because in the year 2026, the entire global digital infrastructure has been meticulously, ruthlessly, and scientifically redesigned to make you feel small, perpetually guilty, and in constant, desperate need of forgiveness for things you never even did and thoughts you never even had. The machine wants a generation of hollow men who spend their entire lives apologizing for their strength, their heritage, their instincts, and their very existence on this earth. But today, Andrew is unlocking the 75th vault of the Hidden Edge archives, the code of the Unbroken. We are decoding John Wayne's most legendary, most dangerous, and most frequently misunderstood rule of life. Never apologize, mister. It's a sign of weakness. Now, before the soft-hearted, easily offended masses start crying in their digital safe spaces, let's get one thing absolutely straight. The Duke wasn't talking about being a stubborn, arrogant fool who can't admit a simple mistake. He was talking about something far deeper, something he called moral sovereignty. He knew that in a world increasingly filled with wolves, parasites, and cowards, the very moment you offer an unearned, forced apology to the digital mob, you have handed them the master keys to your soul and given them the absolute power to destroy your reputation and your livelihood at their whim. In the year 2026, cancel culture isn't just a fleeting social trend or a topic for the evening news. It is a high-tech version of the old frontier lynch mob, specifically engineered to break your spirit, drain your resources, and force you into total, unconditional compliance through the slow-acting poison of social shame. But a sovereign man stands his ground, looks the digital storm directly in the eye, and refuses to blink even when the wind is howling for his head. Doctor, record this opening protocol for the year 2026. An apology given under duress to the central system is a formal, binding confession of slavery. We are returning to the era of the unbroken today, and we are starting with the man who never backed down from a fight he truly believed in. Stand tall, partner, because the era of bowing and scraping is officially over in the Edge archives. Analyze the digital shame infrastructure with me with a cold and tactical eye, because in the year 2026, the system doesn't need physical whips or iron chains when it has social credit scores and algorithmic shaming to keep the herd in line. We are decoding the compliance through guilt strategy that has infected every corner of our society. Have you noticed how every corporate entity, every global celebrity, and every spineless politician in 2026 spends the majority of their time issuing pre-written, hollow apologies for words they didn't mean and thoughts they haven't even had? This is not a coincidence. It is a psychological operation designed to normalize submission and to teach you that your first instinct should always be to retreat. John Wayne saw this coming from a mile away on the horizon. He knew that grit and apology cannot occupy the same space in a man's heart. One must always give way to the other. If you are constantly looking over your shoulder, checking your digital footprint to see if you've offended the sensibilities of the machine, you aren't truly living. You are just auditioning for your own survival in a world that hates your freedom. The Duke's never apologize rule was a vital strategic defense mechanism for the human spirit. It creates a non-negotiable perimeter around your character. In the year 2026, your personal perimeter is under constant, coordinated attack by social engineers who want to make you re-educate yourself out of your own common sense and your own ancestral wisdom. Doctor, examine the Duke's personal journals on maintaining individual integrity, how he consistently refused to let the big studios, the loud critics, or the political winds dictate his internal moral compass. In 2026, the word sorry has been weaponized. It has become a secret code word for "I surrender my will to yours." We are removing that word from our tactical vocabulary today. We aren't here to be liked by the mindless masses or validated by a social media algorithm. We are here to be respected by the truth and by our own reflection in the mirror. The machine can take your platform, they can freeze your accounts, but they cannot take your refusal to bow unless you hand it to them on a silver platter of an unearned, weak apology. Keep your head up, your shoulders back, and your spine as straight as a rifle barrel. In the third and most strategically operational layer of the 75th protocol, we address the tactical refusal, how to navigate a world that demands your daily submission to its lies. In the year 2026, the most radical, dangerous act of rebellion you can perform is to look a superior authority in the eye and say, "No, I will not apologize for the truth." This single act is what separates the sovereign man from the consumer slave who is terrified of losing his digital tokens. When the Duke famously said, "It's a sign of weakness," he was speaking about the internal, spiritual fracture that occurs when you betray your own values just to appease a loud, angry crowd that will never be satisfied with your sacrifice anyway. Analyze the appeasement loop with me. The more you apologize to the system for your existence, the more the system demands of you. It is a bottomless hunger that can never be fed. In 2026, we see men apologizing for wanting to protect their families, for wanting to earn an honest, independent living outside the grid, and for simply wanting to speak the plain, unvarnished truth about the reality we live in. Every time a man bows his head to a lie, the light of the frontier grows a little dimmer for all of us. But when one man stands firm, when one man says, "I've done nothing wrong, I've spoken the truth, and I have absolutely nothing to say to you," it breaks the hypnotic spell for everyone else who is watching from the shadows. Doctor, record this. In the year 2026, your silence is often far more powerful than 1,000 desperate words, and a firm, unwavering stare is more effective than 1,000,000 frantic explanations to people who don't want to understand you anyway. We are teaching you the Nathan Brittles protocol, the art of how to be firm, how to be fair, and how to be absolutely unapologetic in the face of manufactured, high-definition outrage. You do not owe the machine an itemized explanation for your existence or your values. Your life is your own property, your thoughts are your own fortress, and your soul is strictly off-limits to their audits and their inspections. Stand deeply in your own truth, and let the world adjust itself to your presence, not the other way around. Analyze the doctrine of transgenerational grit within the 75th protocol, because the system's primary, long-term target in the year 2026 is your children's sense of self-worth and their connection to their ancestors. They want to raise an entire generation of apologetic sons, young men who are taught to feel a deep, inherited guilt for their father's strength, their father's courage, and their father's victories. The Duke knew that a man's code of honor is the greatest, most enduring gift he can ever pass down to his bloodline. If you teach your children to be pleasers, submitters, and serial apologizers, you are essentially handing them over to the wolves and the social engineers of the year 2026. We are decoding the sovereign fatherhood today. You must show your sons what it looks like to be wrong and to fix that mistake with direct, honorable action, not with groveling words. But you must also show them, with absolute clarity, what it looks like to be right and to refuse to move even one single inch when the world demands your retreat. Sorry doesn't get the heavy fence built in a storm, and sorry certainly doesn't protect the sanctity of the home when the wolves are at the door. Only grit, commitment, and unwavering resolve can do that. In the year 2026, the unapologetic household is a rare fortress of sanity in a vast desert of state-sponsored madness. Doctor, examine the Duke's hidden records on raising independent spirits, how he emphasized the vital importance of a man being ugly, strong, and dignified, or as they say in the old country, feo, fuerte y formal. Dignity is the one thing the machine cannot manufacture in a lab and cannot simulate in a virtual environment. It must be earned through a lifetime of consistently refusing to compromise on your core principles for the sake of temporary comfort or social approval. In 2026, we are raising a brand new generation of frontier spirits who will look the digital censors and the social engineers in the eye and simply say, with a cold smile, "That'll be the day." We are building a bloodline that cannot be shamed into silence, a lineage of men who know deep in their bones that their worth comes from their creator and their own character, not from a volatile social credit score or a trending hashtag on a dying platform. The seed of the Unbroken is being planted in the soil of the frontier today, and it will grow into something the machine cannot cut down. We are closing this Sarsaci, uncompromising, and deeply necessary 75th chapter of the Edge Archives with a final call to the unbowed. Look around you at the landscape of the year 2026. The very air is thick with the pathetic sound of men apologizing for the crime of being men. But you, partner, you are different. You have listened to the Duke's buried message, and today you have fully adopted the code of the Unbroken. You understand now that your integrity is your only true shield and your only reliable weapon in the coming storm. The system thinks it can break you through isolation, through digital shaming, and through the threat of exclusion, but they forgot one fundamental truth. A man who doesn't fear the mob's opinion is a man who cannot be controlled, cannot be bought, and cannot be defeated. In the year 2026, your absolute refusal to apologize for your sovereignty is the highest form of service you can provide to a crumbling humanity. It is a burning beacon of light for every other man out there who is tired of living on his knees and is just waiting for someone to show him how to stand up again. John Wayne's final, enduring lesson for us today is this: walk tall in your boots, speak the truth without stuttering, and never, ever offer your soul for sale in exchange for a few moments of temporary social peace. This is Andrew, signing off from the 75th Vault of the Edge Archives, where we don't make excuses, we don't seek validation from our enemies, and we definitely don't ask for permission to be free. The world is changing rapidly, the grid is tightening its grip, but the code of the Unbroken remains as solid and as permanent as the red rock of Monument Valley. Go out there today and be the man the machine simply cannot break. Be the voice in the wilderness that won't whisper its convictions. Be the sovereign force of nature that never, ever says sorry for the crime of being a free and independent human being. Stay rugged. Stay unapologetic. Stay completely, dangerously sovereign until the very last light of the frontier fades into history. The world is watching, the line is drawn, and the code is yours to defend. Andrew out.